everyone. Welcome to episode 4 of Stream School, the podcast for parents, coaches, and streamers who want to capture every moment that matters. I'm Mike Ressler, CTO of sidelineHD, and I stream multiple sports for my 3 kids. And I'm here to help you level up your stream, improve your setup, and avoid the most common streaming mistakes. In past episodes, you've heard me talk about a wide variety of gear to fit different streaming setups and different approaches on the field. And if you've been listening along for those, I've thrown around a number of acronyms that I would like to talk about today. So today's episode is going to be the ABCs of streaming. And I want to go through a bunch of the things that we've been throwing around. My background, I'm a computer science major from Carnegie Mellon, but you don't have to be a computer science major anywhere in order to understand the concepts that we're going through here today, right? A lot of these things are very common that you hear all day, every day if you're streaming. And so I want to take away some of the mystery and some of what that means without needing to go all the way down into how do the particulars of the protocol work specifically. We'll stay nice and high level so you can understand what people are talking about. A lot of where I learned all of this from didn't necessarily come from computer science. It came just from staying inquisitive on things like this. I was actually a manager for the women's volleyball team at Carnegie Mellon when I did go there, and I was doing lots of videoing back then. So that was from 2000, to date myself a little bit, till now. I've been doing lots of video recording and streaming as that became a more and more popular thing. So I want to get you started here with some of the things that we use. I think probably the most common thing that we see all day, every day, for most of us, actually, whether you're a streamer or not, is USB. So there are a number of things that I want to talk about on USB. These are obviously USB cables, familiar to everybody, but I want to talk about the particular types of these cables. We have a couple different ends. Those are going to be tricky to see, I think, with a focus. There we go. That's in focus for these different ends. These are probably the 2 most common that you will see in streaming today. All right. So over here, this is like your classic. People say classic, your standard. This is USB A. This is USB C. So the C is the latest one, and C, boy, is pretty fantastic. Lots of things are migrating towards C. You can charge, you can do lots and lots of data through your USB cables. They used to just be for slower data transport, but with the adoption of USB-C and a lot of the USB 3.1 protocols, man, power and data rates have increased dramatically. So these you will see all the time. You're going to be charging things with them all over the place. Now, you will definitely still see this. Now, this right here, so this is a lightning connector. This is a standard Apple connector. It has a USB, this one in particular has a USB-C connector on one side and a lightning on the other. You see a lot of these cables. This is really only used for Apple. Apple never open sourced this, so it didn't really go outside of Apple ecosystem. But USB-C is gaining lots of traction with hardware manufacturers. So you're definitely going to see lots of these. And that is the difference between a USB-A and USB-C. Now, if you were like me starting out in the olden times, before you could really go wireless, you had lots of wires. And if you're currently using wires, there are many things that I will encourage you to watch in our Mevo episode and maybe in some Gear Guide episodes. Going wireless is the key, but I want to talk about these 3 different connectors here. We've got a standard HDMI. That's what everybody sees with HDMI. It might be what you have your TV plugged in with. Then they get smaller. You've got the micro and the mini, and you will see the difference between these 3. The micro and the mini, not very typical. You'll see them on smaller devices. These were from my old camcorders. If you saw the Mevo episode with Ron, You've definitely seen my mistakes.
That went over to a base station of ridiculousness, which was a bunch of HDMI video receivers with cords going everywhere.
That's what they are. That's HDMI. It is video and sound, and that's largely it. It just transmits the video and the sound, and there's some smaller versions of them. We went through power and data in USB. We went through HDMI and the video and audio that can transmit. Let's talk about what we might see out in the wild with microphone ports. So we talked a little bit in the Mevo episode about microphones and shotgun microphones and stereo microphones. And I wanted to show off some of the connectors and then the acronyms you'll see used with those connectors. So these are for the microphone jacks. You can see one is much bigger than the other. This is the 1/4 inch, and this wiggly one is the 1/8 of an inch. So this is standard. This is pretty much what you'll see for things like Mevo. This would plug right in. This one you'll see usually used for more like microphone setups. It's pretty big. Affects the amount of impedance. But this has a kind of fun acronym. I think it is one of my most fun acronyms out there because once you understand it, it is really easy to get it, right? So we have two TRS ports here. We have tip, ring, sleeve. TRS. You can see things that are TS, TRS, TRRS, and just to mess with my editor, I'm sure you could have a TRRRRS. Hopefully he puts that one in there in post. But that'll be just the number of rings that you have on your microphone jack. That's really it. Now, why do you have multiple rings? It's just for different audio channels, right? So you can have mono, one signal where you'll just hear it out of one ear or the other. You can have stereo where you'll hear it on both ears. You can have more channels sort of intermixed in there between the different audio captures. So next up, then we're going to go to what folks see probably in their house, but can be useful when you're streaming. And that is wired internet. So I say it's wired internet, but this is wired connectivity, right? This is what you would plug into your computer, in some cases into your router. But this is how you can connect your devices together. Lots of higher end cameras will have Ethernet or RJ45 connection. So this is an RJ45 cable and can do very high data rates. If you want super low latency video, if you want to run video over a very long distance, farther than you could do with wireless, reliably anyway, you might want to actually run wires. So you're not going to run this tiny boy, but you can run some very long RJ45 cables. Lots of people have that set up permanently at some places. So they're going to be using RJ45 cables. This is all for Ethernet, effectively for internet connection amongst all of your devices. So this is a good one to know. You might see things that talk about PoE. PoE is just power over Ethernet. So if you had a camera at the end of one of these long runs of cable and you had a PoE supported camera and router, you could actually run power all the way out to your camera, which is really, really nice. So you can turn things on. It will always be powered. So PoE is very nice. I'm seeing that in some cameras. Some will have adapters. The OBS cameras will have little adapters so you can do PoE, power over Ethernet. And I think that is it for the physical world of acronyms that I think I'm going to go over today. We might have a follow-up. Leave some comments below if there's some others that you've been hearing and you'd like me to go over. Happy to go over a bunch of those. And now I'm going to turn to some things that really intrigued me actually before I was doing my computer science degree, and even as I was doing my computer science degree, Video compression. How do you take data and then compress it? That still is mind-bogglingly cool to me. There's lots of really deep math that we're not going to go into, but it's very cool, and I would love to talk about it. If you see me on a field, we can certainly jam about video compression and how you can even do that. But the things that you'll see and hear around video and video compression, we're going to talk about H.264 and H.265 video. Those are two different types of videos, video compression standards. You can tell by the numbering that the H.265 video compression is a little bit later than the H.264 video compression standard. That is the case. It cuts bandwidth down usually in half between H.264 and H.265 without much of a noticeable drop in quality. So if your streaming platform supports it, like Sideline, you should definitely use it. If your camera supports it, like many of the ones that we've talked about in the gear guides, you should definitely use it. It is a very good, tight compression, gives you a lot of quality with not much bandwidth. So that's been a great boon for streaming and for data plans everywhere, much to the chagrin, surely, of all of the carriers. But still, I'm on high data rate plans, that's for sure, with 3 kids and all of their sports. But that's the compression. Now, all of that video data, all of that H.264 or ideally H.265, which you might hear referred to as HEVC. HEVC and H.265 are the same thing. So HEVC, H.265, use them interchangeably. Those will be transported, the video itself will be transported in a container. So you sort of package it up and then you ship it out. And you do that in a couple different formats. The one that you're going to see most commonly these days is RTMP. So RTMP is real-time media protocol. So it is how you stream your data in real time from one device out to a server. So it is used in broadcast, certainly what's used most often here at Sideline. And RTMP it's been around for a very long time. It uses FLV, which is a flash video format internally. Don't super need to know that, but it has been around for a very long time, since flash video. For those of you with gray hairs, you will remember flash video on the internet. So it is using all of that and transmitting. Now there are 2 newer transport systems here. There's SRT and NDI. You might hear both of those. The camera that we're using right here is an NDI, is broadcasting its stream wirelessly using NDI. So NDI and SRT, both very good. They're for low latency, high bandwidth connections. NDI is not open source. NDI is very closed source. You may have to pay extra in order to get a license to use NDI. There's lots of research going into it. It is technically very, very cool. You can control your cameras over NDI. So if you had a pan tilt zoom camera, you could control that pan tilt zoom camera through that NDI protocol. I do use that, again, for this camera. So I did pay a little extra to get it. It's not a scam, I promise you. It might seem like you're like, wow, whatever. And it's not inexpensive either. I don't know what the current going rates are. But you might get a package deal where you would get an NDI license with your camera. It is a very, very good protocol. SRT is one that might be used. You might see used more and more. That's gaining some traction. And that is another broadcast type protocol, just like RTMP. So just like RTMP, SRT packages up the data and then ships that out over the open internet. NDI, I think, can do that, but is not, I don't think, intended to do that, at least initially. It's more for if you have a local network that you're trying to broadcast and mix a whole bunch of video streams, as we're doing right here, right now. So that brings me to the next thing on the list, which is Wi-Fi and all of the myriad of acronyms you will see for Wi-Fi. So Wi-Fi, wireless fidelity, it is network, it is internet. There are a couple different things you might hear. You'll hear internet, you'll hear network. Nerds in the room will get pedantic about what the difference is between internet and network, and what is a local area network, LAN, what is a wide area network, WAN, what are the ports on the back of your router mean. Here's the back of a Slate AX router that my editor is going to put in right here. And you can see it has 2 LAN ports and 1 WAN port. LAN is local area, so it is all of the devices that you have on your network. So it is for local things here. All right. So if we were to run wires from our camera all the way over to our router, that would be our local network. WAN is how we connect back out to the internet. So that is the wide area network, WAN. And the router, like you see here on the Slate AX router that I use, that is going to broadcast your network over an SSID, right? So that's where wireless networks come in. We're all connecting to wireless networks. We talked about bandwidth a little bit, and all of that broadcast, that name that you see there is an SSID. Forget exactly what that acronym stands for. There are so many bouncing around in my head. We don't really need to know, right? But that is called an SSID. So if somebody's like, hey, what's the SSID? The SSID is just what your network name is. Boy, and there's lots of different ways to secure those networks. You want to have something. Most are using WPA right now. You want to be on, just have some password on your network so things aren't just out there open to the world. And that's probably it for Wi-Fi, right? You're going to have your router, your WAN, your LAN, your SSIDs, and those are going to get all of the devices at the field or wherever you are, internal. Sometimes I have that, in a court as well. Those are all going to be connected over your Wi-Fi SSID, right? And all that will be piped out potentially through, as we were talking about with Ron, through your network hotspot. And that's how you connect out to the WAN, the wide area network, or the internet. All right. So I will leave a little teaser for a later episode. It's a thing I really want to talk about, but I've been advised to stay away from, are error correction codes and fuzzing and what all that means. It is technically very cool. And again, those of us with gray hairs will remember anti-skip and CDs and how they work. Oh man, we'll spend a lot of time on that. I'll save that for a whole episode. Leave a comment if you want me to get into error correction codes and wireless fuzzing and what all that means. Please comment. I want to get into it. It's so cool. But I will, of course, at the end, we will get to the resolutions of your video. So we'll start talking about video resolution. So that's been a hot topic recently. We've had a lot of people ask about it. sidelineHD had support for 1080p earlier this year, which was very exciting for me. It is a notable difference in stream quality. So what is it? Why is 720p and 1080p different? So it is just how tall the video is. So we get more lines of resolution. Your camera sends more data, and there is more to see inside of that video in 1080p than there is in 720p. So because of that, it takes up more bandwidth when you want to send it out. But there is a noticeable quality difference. It's more bandwidth for sidelineHD to process it, to receive it, to store it. But you will see a difference on the other side. So if your camera supports it, and if your streaming service supports it, I suggest switching over to 7. And if you're able to get the data rate out, I suggest switching to 1080p. It will be noticeable. Your viewers will thank you. And a bigger number better on resolution. So 1080p, but that P is for progressive, for those who want to win nerd wars later. There's also I for interlaced. Nobody does that anymore. Not a thing. There's reasons and like anti-aliasing reasons for what the difference is, but it's all P now. Everything's P. 1080p and 720p, and it goes down from there. But if you can, 1080p for sure. If you're like me and you really sprung for top of the line and you got one of these Tail 2 from OBS, that is a 4K camera. It is a phenomenal camera. I will record in 4K and it is lights out. I can zoom in real nice. It is fantastic. You are not going to be streaming in 4K right now. You might, but you're just going to be sucking down bandwidth. So you really don't want to. So you will really only stream out at about 1080p these days. Things are changing. Moore's law continues, where the Moore's law, we could even get into Moore's law, and there's the doubling of processor speed and how much data can get transmitted. So Moore's law is still going. We will get better cameras, more data, and more throughput over time. So if you have a 4K camera, great job. Don't stream at 4K yet. All right, so next time you're doing research on gear or looking for ways to improve your streaming setup, you'll know what some of those acronyms are. So hopefully that helps your purchasing decision. You can always reach out, leave some comments here. We will get back to you. There's lots of great resources out there on the internet. There's a Discord server if you're familiar with Discord. The link will be in the description down below. Jump on that Discord. It is the advanced streaming tips and tricks. And the folks in there are fantastic, incredibly knowledgeable. I got a lot of my setup tips and tricks from that group. So they're helpful. There's lots of pictures. There's lots of videos. We've got other folks that hopefully we get onto this channel that I met through that Discord server. So check them out. Link in the description. And then if you want to learn more about streaming terms, gears, anything else, check out our pro tips section on the sidelineHD website. And of course, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss an episode of this. We got a couple more coming, some fun interviews coming I'm excited for. And the next episode, we actually do have a special guest from Sports Recruits. If you don't know how Sports Recruit connects with sidelineHD, don't worry, we're going to go over that. That's an episode that you won't want to miss. We've got a lot to go over there. And until then, keep on streaming, and I'll see you in the next episode.